I just want to say, KJ Foster, this one's for you. Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Kerr playing with Drake
Oh,
for
not
KJ
really.
Foster.
You see, the truth of the matter is, you can't really play Drake when you're just kind of a guy with a keyboard who doesn't have a drum machine, doesn't rap, and is just not a rap man. Ergo, the closest I could come up with was finding a song with a piano riff, learning the piano riff, and playing along with it with this wonderful little keyboard right here.
If Tom had warned me we were going to do this week, I would have learned the opening lyrics and helped them out.
One of these days, KJ. One of these days.
One of these days we'll do it up.
I'm pretty sure the closest Tom is kind of rapping is Lonely Island, so yeah, that was going to happen.
Jay, you don't give yourself enough credit. Think the Beastie Boys.
I don't think I was there. Sorry.
Intergalactic.
I think Jay missed the one ethnic joke. I managed to sneak in on him.
I think I may have missed it too. I'll watch the episode later.
Well, I mean, you kind of have to know the Beastie Boys and their background to understand where I was coming from on that one.
I mean, Jake
Jay's
is also
usually the
Jewish,
first one to tell
so
these
like...
jokes. I love that we just kind of rolled in this way. By the way, we're live with the Metal Lab.
Hi, everybody.
How's everybody doing? This episode comes out of nowhere, like a Tom Kerr overdrive or a TKO, if you were, unwarned, unplanned appearance, and suddenly he's first place. It's now called it is the new meaning in HeroClix for a TKO. Tom, thanks for joining us this week.
Happy to be here with my giant mug of beer.
I've only got a tall boy, so I mean it's big based on
In fairness,
sizes.
In fairness, this is a tall boy. It just in the biggest glass I could have.
Awesome. And Jay, who also found his way out to a WKO this weekend. Everybody was busy but me. How you doing, Jay?
Huh?
Yeah. Just he goes in with a whimper.
Yes.
Yeah, so Tom and Jay have been busy this week in HeroClix. I have been busy in a different way, which you guys will get a chance to enjoy tomorrow. Hey.
Finally launching that porn career.
Oh, I was going to make the same joke. Damn it.
Well, look, naked pictures of me are already out. Just look up 1970s footage of Sasquatch. And you'll find naked pictures of me. It's there. Also, for those who are interested, the length of my beard will now correspond with my my struggle to lose weight. And until I lose weight, I'm only shaving like right here and here. So this is all coming out.
That's just what I wanted to know.
I said for those keeping track. Tom, you're not keeping track, so it wasn't for you, was it?
Fair.
Look, I'm trying to make myself somewhat interesting because all I did was something that you're going to see tomorrow and I can't talk about yet. I
think the people will appreciate it.
Oh, they'll appreciate it. I'm sure they will. But in the meantime, Tom, you showed up all of a sudden.
Not that suddenly. I mean, like the joy of the Win working again is the ability to look up events. Yeah, I'll tell you what my week in HeroClix was because I only played the one event, but it went well. I got a chance to attend a win a map at WNY Gaming in New York State, which, as it turns out, is real close. Like the drive down there was barely more than 2 hours. It's basically Buffalo. Like we travel farther all the time for Canadian events. In fact, I travel like an hour just to get to the comic warehouse when I consider that local. So, for an extra hour, we can get down to WNY. It was a great time. A wonderful venue, a lot of fun. They had lots of good stuff. They had a new, I guess there's been a new release of the Marvel Legendary card set that I didn't know about, so I bought that. It's a Venom set, which is great. You can play as Carnage, which is going to be fun. And yeah, they like bought pizza, and you could get buy a couple slices while you were there. And it was just really warm and welcoming. I don't think I'd met anyone that attended, and we all had a great time together, and it was a lot of fun. It's funny how big and small at once this community really is sometimes. So it was the event itself was a 300-point limited ROC event, and I'm glad that a couple days before I went, I texted Jay to say, "Hey, are you coming to this thing?" He was unable to, but he did also say, "I don't even know what I would play in that format," and I was like, what he would play in a 300-point modern format? So I reopened the page and I was like, aha, limited. It's been so long that I hadn't even thought of it. So I quickly abandoned all of my other ideas. And since that was just a couple days before, and I was like, oh, drat, I have to build a limited team. I decided to go with what I know, which is Gotham. I've long wanted to build a Gotham team that kind of did a lot of the things that my existing team did, but also put Anarchy on there. And Limited kind of opened the door for that for me, because I figured if I dropped Ha 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 Joker, because there's no ID cards in Limited, Ha 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 Joker, still useful, but I figured I could get more mileage out of putting on Anarchy, and I just wanted to give it a try, because I've never really played with Anarchy before and thought it'd be fun. A brief word about the Limited format. It's been a long time since I've seen it. I thought it was kind of like a dead format because it was so much about no possessors, no resources back in the day, and that was the big thing with Limited as well. Like no multi-base characters was never as big a deal, a couple of years ago, back before Retaliators were absolutely everywhere and before ID cards kind of came into force. But it's amazing how much the game does change with the extreme reliance on multi-base characters and ID card nowadays. I kind of thought that maybe Limited was a bit long in the tooth, but I don't think that's the case. The removal of multi-base characters and ID cards are enough to be really impactful. If I had a suggestion, I would suggest we also remove special objects, and then it would be well and truly, proper Limited. But all the same. I'm getting off topic, and I didn't want to go on and on about this. So the team I wound up playing was a Gotham City themed team. We had Chase Green Arrow, of course, the Kryptonite Arrow Man, the Anarchy, as aforementioned, Batgirl, Shadow of the Bat, my old favorite, SR Penguin, as well as the 25-point Fast Forces Penguin with the loyalty marker. That's 290 points, so 5 points for the Iceberg Lounge map bonus, which I still love for stealing objects and having penguins. And I rounded out the points with a symbiote, which I figured I would put onto Batgirl, because in this particular build formation, I know that I don't have the Joker kind of midfield messing up people, kind of coming across the map and generally getting into people's faces and being annoying. And so as people were approaching me, I kind of figured Batgirl was going to have to take the position of going out and being my front line, and I wanted to give her some more survivability, so the symbiote seemed like a natural choice. So that was the build. I managed to go down there. It was a 15-person event. I'm not going to go through all the details of the event just in the interest of time, but I will stay the teams I face, because I think it's really interesting, especially if there's going to be more limited stuff. It's good to start thinking about what works and what doesn't. So the first match I had was against a gentleman named Chris. He was playing a Kree-themed team using all pieces from the new Captain Marvel set, including the big Ultra Captain Marvel at 150, the Ronan the Accuser, the kind of the quasi-retaliation piece from that set, as well as a 50-point Atlas. And it was a nice little team. I mean, the concept is pretty simple. Atlas gets to soak. They all get to share each other's live, create, or die powers. Atlas gets to kind of use theme probs and be general sort of secondary or tertiary attacker. Captain Marvel's leading the charge. If you attack Captain Marvel, she turns into Super Marvel and becomes very hard to take out. And that's also opening you up for some, quote unquote retaliation from Ronan to get him into the fight, and then they just kind of overwhelm and attack. In this case, I just misremembered Captain Marvel. It wound up being to my benefit, though, at the time I was kicking myself because I thought she turned to her super click when she took 3 or more damage. It's actually 2 or more damage that puts her onto her click 11 super click. So I got her into range for a single target pulse wave by a penguin for 2 damage, thinking that I wasn't going to activate her. I did, but he was still far enough across the map that he couldn't get right to my starting zone and get the rest of my team. So he killed a penguin on the way by and parked behind some blocking. And it kept him safe from Green Arrow initially, but he was also pushed out. I had 2 turns to get things over there. So I got a charge penguin, and between the Robo Penguin and a perplex on his damage, he was able to get into position to destroy the piece of blocking that was necessary for Green Arrow to get the angle to hit for 5 damage. 5 damage after she's already taken 2 from the pulse wave is it for Captain Marvel. And then from there was mostly cleanup. He brought in Ronan with his retaliation, but enough theme props turned his retaliation into a miss, and then I just kind of swarmed him until it was game over. So it was, it was going to be a hard match for him, relying on Captain Marvel against a Green Arrow, regardless. And I guess I kind of got lucky that he positioned where he did, and I had the chance to get the shot.
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
I mean, I did the evidence on myself, but it's on Unitip. I'm not seeing anything here that indicates that trait is protected from Pulse Wave.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. The power that she gets when she turns into it has that, but the trait in and of itself doesn't seem to, unless I'm...
So you're thinking... So 2 damage Pulse Wave probably shouldn't have activated her then?
I mean, no damage Pulse Wave would activate it. Doesn't matter. You want anyway, but it's good to know in the future.
Yeah, that's interesting. Fascinating. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Good point, Jay. I'll remember that for next time. My next round was against a gentleman named Sean. He was playing a TMNT villain team, which was really cool. I think that this team has some legs. He was playing the Krang and Shredder from the TMNT 4 set.
Oh, that's so good.
Between those 2 guys together, you've got it. That's 6 KOs just to take them out. He filled that out with a Foot Elite. Is it Axe, Hammer, whatever the Empower one is? Yeah, yeah, it's whatever one is the one who has the Empower and can take the opportunity tokens. He was mostly there as Shredder's mastermind fodder, but of course he's also there to empower Shredder, so it works together nicely. And shifting focus, Rocksteady, who is also awesome, as it turns out. I had no idea. Really quite a good piece, completely overlooked by me. In this case, I won map, and that was really instrumental because he also had Exospecs on the team, and my Seals and Puffins, my Puffin went in to steal the Exospecs, the Seals got in the way, and it just jammed up the works of him trying to get the Exospecs, and he really wanted those Exospecs on Krang, so it took several turns before he could get that on. In the meantime, I was sending penguins out, pulse waving, and weakening up his team so that once he got into my range, I was able to get the attacks off to KO. I cut Krang out fairly quickly. I got in. I tried to get Krang in 1 turn because it would have been possible for me to outwit Shape Change, free charge with Batgirl to KO him once, then Green Arrow to KO him a second time, then take an attack action with Batgirl to KO him a 3rd time. That would have been the perfect case scenario. It didn't happen because I didn't hit all those attacks, but I did kill him 2 of the 3 times and finished him off next turn. I killed off the Foot Elite from the other side of the board with a Penguin earlier. Rocksteady had been weakened up. He did get some damage off on the Penguins, but the rest of the team was just too much at that point, and I was able to get Shredder the 3 times necessary to finish him off. But really good. I think Krang Shredder is a great starting point, and I'd like to see more from that because those really work together well. 3rd round was against a gentleman named Dale, who was playing 2 of the Ultra Captain Marvels.
Oh, oh boy.
And that was the team that everybody was afraid of, myself included. Didn't help that I lost map, and so I didn't have any way of kind of getting up in his face or limiting his way across. He chose the Rock World War II Trenches map, which also just plays havoc on your team if you don't ignore things for movement, which Batgirl does, but the rest of my team sure doesn't. So the Penguins weren't going to be getting very far, and it had the potential to be a bad match. I gambled on a very basic baiting play that thankfully he fell for. This is literally how I did it. I counted from my starting area 4 squares, which is Batgirl's range and Anarchy's range. And then I said, okay, if he's in that square, I want my bombs to give coverage for the next 11 squares. in the hopes that what he'll do is, to avoid the bombs, he'll fly over all the bombs in one go. So spread them out in such a way that he can actually fly over all of them. Because you can spread them out far enough that you're forcing him to go into a bomb zone. I was gambling that he was going to avoid the bombs altogether, so I placed them so that there were basically 11 squares of bomb coverage in the expectation that he would use his full 12 movement to fly over the whole thing and get into my range, which he did. And then once he was there, I outwitted his Invincible with Batgirl, charged for free, dealt 3 damage, knocked one of the Captain Marvels onto her Super Ultra Click. That Super Ultra Click is the one where if she would take damage, she goes back to her click. But unfortunately, that's a defense power, so Green Arrow just nuked her. um, yeah, that's Green Arrow for you. So one of the Captain Marvels went down really hard and fast, and I was able to get Green Arrow back into position, so he was surrounded by the wall, or like the edge of the map on one side, and characters all around. So she couldn't really strafing run against him unless she KO'd one of the characters and then charged in next to them. I figured I could use all of my probs to make that stop from happening, and it did. I managed to make him miss the roll on the strafing run attack, and then finished him off with the same trick a second time. Deal a bit of damage, knock him onto the final click, and have Green Arrow finish him off. So the whole game was about 8 minutes long. But to be fair, if the game had been 12 minutes long, that would have meant that he won and I lost terribly. So it was going to go one way or the other, with 2 unbeatable Captain Marvels against a Green Arrow who's meant to nuke them. Either he dies or they do, and it went in my favor. And then the last 2 games, because what it was 4 rounds of Swiss, cut to top 2, which is amazing. I've never seen it cut to top 2, I don't think. But I guess that's the Rock rules, so there you go. And so we went to both of my round 4 and the top 2 were against Wes, the gentleman who was running the event, as well as playing his own Gotham City team, very similar to my own, also a Green Arrow, Shadow of the Bat, and Penguins team. The difference being, whereas I had Anarchy, he had a 30-point Ha-Ha Joker, as well as an 8 Batman, a suited henchman, and more special objects. He had the symbiote for Batgirl, but also a Thunderstrike for Green Arrow and a Exospecs for Joker. And in both cases, he won map, but the real difference maker was the fact that it takes him a couple turns to get everything equipped. All of that, if he wants to commit to getting the equipment on his characters, by the time he does that, I've had a chance to send 1 or 2 waves of Pulse Wave Penguins to try to soften his team up. And ideally, that softens him up enough that he starts having to cross the map, and I can try to snipe him while he does. And in both cases, that's more or less how that went down. I got lucky on a bomb. I got super lucky in the first game because he got Green Arrow into position to potentially not one-shot, but almost one-shot Batgirl, but I rolled my super senses. And at that point, he was surrounded by 3 bombs. Like, he had really committed to killing Batgirl, and those bombs went off and took out Green Arrow. And then the rest, when I have a Green Arrow and he doesn't, the advantage is to me, so I was able to close out on that one. In the second match, similar thing. I was able to get a bomb off to get a bit of damage off on Green Arrow. He went over and took a big shot that almost nuked Anarchy, but was in position for me to get a Pulse Wave Penguin into position to blow up a lot of his team, and then just press the attack and finish off what was left. I mean, again, I'm making it sound very, very flippant because I don't want to bog down the podcast or the show with exhaustive detail. He played it really well. It's a mirror match, and a mirror match is always going to be hard. In this case, it's a mirror match, and my advantage was board control because of both the bombs and the speed with which you can send penguins out when you've got Anarchy there to use the penguins effect to get give the extra movement to your robo penguins. So my advantage was board control. His advantage was like sheer output and flexibility between the Exospecs and the Thunderstrike, but board control plus the fact that he needed activation time gave me an early advantage that he couldn't quite get back from, and that was kind of the case in both cases. Games, it could have gone either way, and I got lucky. You know, as with every time you win matches, you get lucky when you need to, and I was happy to have done so. So yeah, I won the event, which is great fun, and that gets me into it gives me free entry into the state championship there in a couple weeks, which I'm happy to go down to with Jay. I believe we're both going, and Emily, right?
Probably Devin, maybe even more. I don't know, but yeah,
sweet
plan.
Oh, it's gonna be great. I'm really quite excited. It turns out it's right in our backyard, and if ever you can make it, Jason, like I drive right by you on route, so like it's a great little store. Sorry?
What's the date on this one?
April 6th, Saturday.
Not date of ours.
Yeah,
But you have something or other that
the
weekend?
day before Mania.
Yeah, the day before Mania, which is also provincials for Ontario.
I think Provincials for Ontario is Mania, I think.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is. That's
that's
why
what I
Jason's
mean.
not going.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, if you can make it, then let's do it. Anyway, great store, WNY in Hamburg, New York. Thank you very much to them, and it was a great time.
All right. Just give me a second here. Amber, am I allowed to go to a state event on April 6th?
Well, he's going. I'll just say that Weston's actually a good friend of mine, and I have full confidence in him. I've played events there, or an event there before. He's great.
I don't know if
So.
we can get babysitting for it, but
Love that guy.
Do you mind if
He
I
was
go?
he was great. It was it really was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I am a hard high end maybe.
Sweet.
Commitment
Wait,
there.
are you guys all going in one car?
I don't know.
This,
what the plan is.
it's unlikely. Consider like if Devin goes, then that's 4 of us, and then you as well. I'm happy to drive. I'll just pick you up and.
We'll figure out logistics after the show. It's the most boring.
Yeah, this is not quality content for the viewers.
Jay, you went to a tournament too at WKO, in fact.
Yeah, I played that in a casual, so I'm actually going to reverse chronological order, which is especially sad because Mike isn't here. So yeah, so Sunday was casual, fun times. It's actually been a while between all the opens and releases and all that stuff. So Mike's birthday was not the day that we ran the tournament. It was before. I think it was like a week ago or something. But I gave him the opportunity to decide on the build. And he basically went for turning 47 turned into 470 points.
That's pretty great.
And he ended up being a little bit ass backwards because he made a build that was he wanted to make a build as simple as possible. So like no sideline, no pretty much anything that wasn't like equipment, because some characters come with equipment or whatever. So basically as close to characters only as you can get. But then he made the mistake of playing a Spider-Man family team with 4 different characters with 4 different interpretations of webbing. So he just confused the hell out of himself. he had the OP kit Spider-Man with the symbiote from a while ago that has like if he hits, do a webbing roll to see if a webbing thing happens. He had a web clux FX marker from Old Man Spider. He had Miles's a mobile trait, and then he had Silk with just incapacitate. And he forgot his Spider-Verse. Like, I don't know. Like, he wanted to build a simple build, and then he just built the most confusing mess possible. Yes. But it was fun. I ended up going with my definitive signature casual team, which is not long for this world because there's a 200-point Shazam and Black Adam. But I went with the JSA Swarm.
I knew it.
Because it was what I wanted to play, and I managed to fit in a character that debuted in the same year as Mike was born. So that was fun, even though it made the build significantly worse. Because I had made a build. So the original build I made was 25
Hour Man. I feel like.
Nope, not even, because Hour Man's from like the 40s. Mike's not quite that old, not quite. So I went with 25-point Power Woman because the +1 actions is impossibly important. Hawkman and Hawkgirl because they're the best. All of the JSAs from Harley Quinn, Gotham Girl, so the Wonder Woman, Red Tornado, Midnight Sand. The Hour Man from Elseworld, so the good Hour Man. Spectre instead of Dr. Fate from Joker's Wild, which would have made the build much better. The Green Lantern, obviously. I did... Because it's a wild card, I did the Mary Jane Paw because I had 5 points. I didn't want to use any objects because the only JSA-related object is 7. And I used the Superman action figure from Wash.
I remember that thing.
Because it doesn't break theme and has leadership.
Oh,
that's awesome.
That's a bystander now.
Yeah, because of the tank, whatever. So it is a bystander now, has leadership. And honestly, it's a pretty decent attacker. It has like a 4 movement charge, 10-3, 6 range, can be carried. Has move and attack, whereas most JSAers don't. So it's actually a better attacker than most of them. So I took the round 1 bye. I won map against Mike in round 2, and I went with obviously the JSA Museum from Origins. So he had the Prime Miles, he had Silk, he had the 120-point Symbiote Spider-Man, Old Man Spider, the Mary Jane from Superior Foes, and then the Spider-Man family ATA. So he got JSA to give everybody on his team a 19 off of me, which was not ideal. And then he also gave his and Living Brain was the other one. So because Miles has the totally correct for sure, obviously happened scientist keyword. He gets a 10 range outwit, which he can also get Superman ally off of me to ignore my stealth because I have Power Woman. Basically we each move up a little. There's like the way the map is, there's like a bunch of like 3 different rooms basically in the middle. So like he moves up into a room, I move up just behind a room. I go in to make some attacks. Like I hit his Miles onto onto range combat X or whatever, and then he makes some attacks. I finish off Miles the next turn. His dice aren't that great, and my defenses are obviously very high. And I managed to use I basically didn't use the light wall or barrier to be defensive most of the time. It was honestly more for the negative defenses because his defenses were already so high because he had higher. His 19 meant that he had higher defenses to hand out than me, the Spider-Man family ATA. So with this ended up being I KO'd Silk and Miles, and he killed Spectre, I think. And my defenses were so high, and his attack values were like average. So yeah. Then round 3, I played against Devin, and of course, because Devin is like the second best player in the area after Tom, he has a Thane. So he ran,
I think he might be the best player in the area.
No. As far as pure play is concerned, Devin is definitely probably. I love you, Tom. Is the best player in the area.
No. My list.
His math checks out, and he's a pretty. He understands everything is correct.
No,
it's not by dice.
My Toronto or my Canada list is Tom, and then Devin, and then in a perfect world where I got to play me. But as is, I don't even know who third would be.
Jay, you are now required to take back every man crush joke you've made about me in regards to Tom. Now, nope, you cannot continue talking until you've done it.
I don't hide it. I love Tom. Who can't love Tom? Everybody loves Tom.
That's not true.
Okay, so back to the actual.
I don't love Tom.
Devin.
Why do you think I drink?
Oh God!
I figured it was just because you're on the show with me.
A little dark for
carry on, Jay. Sorry.
So he played the new Thane at the full points. He played the UXM Prime Phoenix or UXM non-Prime Phoenix with the additional trait to turn into the Prime Phoenix. And then 2 out of the 3 Cuckoos. So he played the TK one, which I think is Mindy, and then he played the Psychic Blast one, which I think is Celeste, or vice versa. But he didn't play. I don't even know what the other one does, to be honest. Like yeah, I have no clue what she even does. Mind Control? I think she has Mind Control, but he started with the Psychic Blast one and the TK one. And I don't think he had any objects or anything weird. And because
Esme's not there. Celeste, Mindy, and Phoebe.
Whatever. Either way.
So one had Psychic Blast, one had TK?
And one had Mind Control.
And one had But he played all 3? Or
No, he didn't play. He played 2 of 3.
Okay, and the ones he played were Psychic Blast and TK?
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter. It is what it is. I don't care.
Remember when he used to be the one who knew everything, Tom?
I don't care about the Cuckoos. Whatever. So I of course would map because I said I have a +9 to his +4. Bound to happen. I couldn't pick the JSA Museum because he would have won. He would have automatically won because hypersonicking around. So he happened to have his mock timeout, which was a good idea, so I went for it. He basically realizes that he doesn't have no chance, but it's like a rough matchup because he has like a 1-man army versus just
a many-man army.
Yeah, a very, very high defense number, amount of figures, and he can be one-shotting stuff with Thane, but then if I hit him once, he really can't. So basically, he moves up a bunch. I start attacking. I hit Phoenix. I think I go for a ping on Thane, and then I go for Phoenix. I miss a play where because the Prime Phoenix at her last click that she comes in on, she only has a reducer if she's played at full points, and I missed the opportunity to just force blast her into a wall with Standing Green Lantern. Would have been pretty funny, but I killed her anyway. She ended up making an attack, which mattered. But basically, it comes down to he honestly couldn't hit anything, and I'm able to pretty much hit Thane all the times, except for he gets some impervious rolls, and I ended up winning, and he actually killed like a good third, about a third of my force. So it was a good time. I kind of feel bad about beating Mike on his birthday game, but I don't think he would have wanted to have a game thrown for him for no reason, especially because I gave him fellowship to begin with because birthday. So that was fun. And the day before, Emily and I went to a different game, or a different store in that general area, and played Sealed Open. I opened up a pretty decent team, I think, where I had Black Panther. I had Luke Cage, who ended up picking up the Octopus Arms. I had... What else did I have? Medusa. Oh my god, Medusa.
I love Medusa.
Medusa is in... Oh god, so obnoxious. And then we had the Hydra that sidesteps, that has super strength, so that enables my Luke Cage equipping plays very easily. I mean, I could have done it with TK too, but like it was just easier. Yeah. So I thought when I started building the team that I was going to end up giving Black Panther the Octopus Arms for Blade's Flurry, but just Luke Cage so much better. And it also ended up being
more output.
The improved movement ended up being very important because I was able to pick old Wakanda. And if Luke Cage didn't have the indoors movement, I probably would have been able to pick that map. So that was good. Round one, I played against a gentleman who also has a YouTube channel, Brian Sinkoff.
I know Brian.
Sink
and Son.
I think, yeah. It was nice to meet somebody that I do previously. He honestly, he just didn't have a really good team, and even if he did, it was just not a good matchup. Like, he had Stegron, which is good. He had Black Knight instead of the better figure that is his father, Black Bolt. Sable taking Earth X keyword, the Prime Venom. I feel like maybe something else, but it just didn't matter. I think the only damage I took was a Mystics off of the dinosaur. I ended up winning map going on Wakanda. He couldn't. My defenses are really high. His swing is just way worse than mine because I have like good charge range and Medusa TK. Like Luke Cage is a 5 movement charge plus giant reach plus the TK. So it's just, I think every play he made was fine. Like I don't think he really misplayed it. Nothing he could have done really. Round two was against Ricky Kirk, who is definitely deserving of his title of King of New York because he is one tough opponent. I don't know if we've ever played before, and if we had, it was probably sealed and not even constructed. But if you don't know his name, if you're playing an event in that area, he is the one to be afraid of. He was playing the Loki at full points, and what was it? Electro Karnak, and something else that was like 50 points ish. I honestly can't remember. I don't want to waste time looking it up right now because it didn't matter because whatever it was, it didn't do very much for him. So I ended up winning map again, going on Wakanda because the Loki has stealth too, but it's kind of whatever because I can body block with my Black Panther with his traded stealth, so he can't shoot stuff. So basically it comes down to I deal with everything but Loki while also body blocking with Black Panther. Loki can't do much. In the beginning of the game, Loki doesn't really roll much that's relevant. Like he rolls like a lot of make the barrier, everybody gets phasing, a bunch of my force gets +1 defenses and whatnot. So it basically comes down to my team against just Loki, and then Loki decides to start rolling. If he's not rolling a 6 for shape change, he's rolling a 6 to give himself +1s. So it came down to the game actually came down to I just couldn't hit between the pluses and the rolling shape change, and then he killed not Medusa and not Black Panther. And actually, basically on last action, he makes an attack, I roll, or he just misses. If he hits, he kills Black Panther and wins on points, and if he doesn't, then I win. But I feel like he
was the last figure apparently.
Huh? Oh yes, it was the Sandman. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If he hadn't rolled all the shape changes in the world, I think I would have just killed Loki off his last click. It was just an 18 toughness, but whatever. It didn't really matter anyway. I then played against. Who did I play against? Oh, I don't know if it's pronounced Jevon or Javon Garrett. I played against. I don't think he's local. I think he's like a local to the state, not the particular area. He had a really hodgepodgey team of like Fat Spider-Man, Morbius, Skull,
Fat Spider.
just
Dad
honestly,
bod spider. What happened to Dad bod spider?
oh, he's fat. He knows it. Just all the random dudes in the
If he
set.
was fat, he ain't
Electro,
carrying people.
yeah. It's basically he had Skull, which is good, Spider-Man for position, which is good, just some good attackers. He had it win on Morbius. I can't remember everything right now. I should have prepared this, but basically the hodgepodge. And I win map roll, and I dramatically misplay because picking Wakanda against the Skull is not really a smart. I honestly don't remember what my other maps were. Probably Rock Underground. I think was it Rock Underground, or it was Hedge Maze and something else. I can't remember. But
it's
like
Javon, one of the players in the chat, wanted to. He's from near the Syracuse area.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I think I asked somebody. They said
Thanks,
something like
Weston, New York, Plickeson.
Yeah, I assume that would be
for contributing more because you're great. That's
from yesterday.
So in retrospect, picking Wakanda was a bad move, but I also had Black Panther with stealth, so it was like kind of whatever. Basically, we both positioned such that the other person knows that it's going to be a roll off if nobody does anything. So he moves up a little bit, but he moves up a bunch, but not enough that I can attack him immediately. And then I like start to set up some attack. I position to set up some attacks, and then I start attacking. I kill the Skull pretty quickly because I outwit his reflexes. I knock him back into some blocking, and then what did I energy explosion him, or I quaked? Yeah. So he took one, the stop click, took another one, and then I quaked, and then he didn't have a master my target because of the quake because everybody was hit. And it just comes down to he doesn't roll that well, and I have team problems against him. He did have a super though. He did have X51. So basically, it comes down to. I mean, I don't want to say I win outright, but like he didn't take. Did he take points? I just want to. Oh, he took 130. Like he was a good player and all that. It just like he didn't really have much going for him in the way of the pulls, but he did play what he had as well as he could have. So I end up. The last figure he has is X51, which is kind of annoying because he has good values and prob. But I'm able to like tie him up with the Hydra, who's on plasticity, and I deal with him. It was a good game. He couldn't really roll that well and didn't have any problem until X51 was on a stop click. But I also made sure that only happened when it was down to just X51. Last round was against reigning Team Worlds champion. Solo here. Joe Pangrazio. He has Earth X theme he has 2 Karnaks, President Osborne, Silver Sable, other Earth X stuff that's like not even rare. I can't remember. What did he have? I don't know, but it doesn't matter because it was a very, very quick game. He wins map roll, puts us on Hedge Maze. There's not much I can do. This is awkward. I don't know how to word this. So basically I get like one figure maybe, and he wipes me. And I'm 3-1, but unfortunately the venue ended up cutting to top 4, so I did miss the cut. So happens. And that was it for the day. And Emily went 2-2 with a pretty decent Earth X theme, if I recall correctly. Or did she break theme? But either way, she managed to get the Skull with the Mini Slayer, some other good characters I honestly can't remember. I'm very tired. And basically her last game comes down to, or the last game in Swiss to make the cut is she literally could not roll anything. And against Ricky, and Ricky also agreed with the fact that it was just ridiculous and she couldn't roll anything. And it happens. But what can you do?
Yeah.
But
happens,
I didn't.
And it sucks.
Yeah, it does suck. And she's a good player, but there's nothing you can do. And luckily, I didn't care about not making it because it wasn't even that far. I already had the qualification. Emily just likes playing hero clicks no matter what. So it was a good time.
Cool. All right. With that report, I have realized that Jay is green-white colorblind. and forgets every common and uncommon on things.
I mean, if I would have sat down and wrote down the teams, but not in the middle of going on air, would have been pretty boring, dead air. Okay.
I'm just giving you a hard time, man. Just giving you a hard time. All right.
I mean, that's what you do.
With that said, I don't think we spent enough time talking about this particular issue. And when I say issue, I mean this exciting news that's down the line come July. That being, of course, rotation. The announcement is out. We know when rotation is going to occur, and we know what is rotating. And this news, I feel like we're delayed on the show with this, but I might be wrong. Give me a second. When did this come? Of course,
I feel like this was like Wednesday or Tuesday.
This was the 13th, so about 12 days old. So we should have covered this last week, and we didn't. So, my bad. My bad.
It happens.
Yeah. But I'm just going to pull this up on the screen for everybody else to see, and we will just go over it briefly. Actually, let's do this properly. Blam, and get rid of that. All right. So, modern rotation. Greetings, HeroClix players. The following HeroClix releases, including all game elements and maps that were part of each release, will be rotated from the Modern Age tournament as of July 1st, 2019. Please note that this is a change from previous years. In previous years, rotation occurred on June 1st and before the U.S. HeroClix Nationals tournament. This year, rotation will be on July 1st, which is after HeroClix U.S. National Championships being held at Origins Game Fair from June 12th to the 16th. So that means Origins Game Fair U.S. National Championships is going to have the biggest version of our modern meta, which is massive when you can just consider number of characters. Now, the 5-figure booster sets that are rotating out. Civil War, it was the oldest. We knew it was going. Superior Foes of Spider-Man and Joker's Wild, kind of on the same wavelength. Deadpool and the X-Force and Avengers Defenders War are also going. And we are also rotating out What If, but Elseworlds stays in. So it's kind of right with What If being on the borderline. I like when I'm kind of close to that, and I'm not misinforming our players. As far as Fast Forces, all of those sets, their Fast Forces are going to be out, as well as some of the smaller sets. They put the micro sets after, so spoiler alert on that. The Amazing Spider-Man and his Greatest Foes Fast Forces, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Heroes a Half Shell Fast Forces, the Batman and his Greatest Foes Fast Forces, the Shredder's Returns Fast Forces, Uncanny X-Forces Fast Forces, the Mechs, Deadpool and the Mercs for Money Fast Forces, and the Marvel Knights Fast Forces are all rotating, along with the What If starter set. The micro sets that are going out are the TMNT HeroClix, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Heroes in a Half Shell, along with the Shredder's Return set, along with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and the Wonder Woman micro set. That's
that existed.
That existed, eh? I think the only figure I'd seen show up in major meta level, high level tournaments would have been Raven on Kenny's team at Rock World Cup that one year.
There was some play of the Etta Candy.
I was going to say Etta Candy, I think, may have.
It was pretty okay.
Then it didn't make it under camera while I was there, or it also didn't make it to across the table for me. So that's cool to find out that Etta also saw some play.
I considered playing her a bunch. I never actually did.
Yeah, same here.
There's a whole list of con exclusives, so I'm going to speed through this as best as I can. One of many Batmans is going away. I'm thinking that's the one that I don't know which one that is, but the 2016 OP kits con exclusives including Hawkman, this is Casey Hawkman, Casey Red Robin, Ace the Bat Hound, the 2 Batman 66, the Batman with the bomb, Batman surfing, along with the shark that came with that, the Arrow Psycho, Arrow, and Diggle. All will be missed. Dr. Nemesis is on his way out. Cosmic Daredevil, Man Spider, Rocket Raccoon, and Groot. The Punisher van.
Last resource. Goodbye, last
nope.
resource.
Good second last resource. Blackbird is a resource still.
It's considered a resource?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. The Punisher himself that came with it, all the weapons that came with that, including smoke bomb, frag grenade, flash bomb, Molotov cocktail, handgun, semi-automatic, first aid kits, sniper rifle, flamethrower, rocket launcher, Gatling gun, BFG, surveillance device, riot gear, along with the black and white Casey Jones and Shredder, the Turtle van, rest in peace, Jack Frost, and Gray Gage. And then the monthly OP kits that are going away, Sinister Syndicate, the Doc Ock.
Yep. Should say Doc Ock is retiring. We know what you mean.
He isn't going to play.
We know the one. Martian Manhunter Jade, Simon Baz, Red Hulk, She-Hulk, A-Bomb, Green Arrow, Green Lantern, The Flash, Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax, Captain Cold, Sinestro, Lex Luthor, Moon Knight, Shang-Chi, Shroud, Atom, Aquaman, Firestorm, Vindicator, Aurora, Northstar, Batgirl, Black Bat, Batgirl, and the Toy Soldier. And one of those will be missed.
Someone was playing a Toy Soldier at the Rock event yesterday. It's pretty cool. Yeah. I didn't see how it did.
They should have edited this in because I told them to. They forgot it. They didn't include the most important game element on Tom's Canada Cup and World Cup team, the surfboard.
Yes. That's exactly what I was going to say. I'm like, you forgot to mention the surfboard.
Yeah. The surfboard's with the surfing Batman, so I assume
it's a separate thing. So they technically should list it.
They didn't list it, so maybe it's still legal.
That's awesome. You got 1 point left.
It's funny surfing. Because it's on the opposite side of the card of the Batman that is retiring, so it'll be like...
I also want to point out, they mentioned specifically here, and all special objects related to these things, so...
Good cover. Yeah, nobody was going to allow it. It's obviously supposed to be there. It's just whatever.
Allow it. Surfboard, skeet surfing.
It's all right.
We are, of course, we're everything if not an internet show. And Tom has wonderfully suggested that we do a little bit of a Desert Island listing. We're going to go with our top threes. The top three figures we're going to miss the most, and the top three figures that we're going to miss the least. So we're going to start with the most. We're going to start positive and end negative, and then go to questions from the chat, from the fans, because... Yeah. All right. But Tom, this is your idea, and I'm sure you're preset with a whole bunch of ideas while I'm kind of making mine up as we go.
Sure. Do you want me to go through my three and then we?
Yeah,
or do
we'll
you
go through
want to
all three of the ones that you're going to miss the most, and then we'll do everybody's what we're going to miss the most. Then we'll do everybody's what we won't miss in the very least.
Okay. Well, for my the things I will miss the most.
Before we get going, honorable mentions are allowed.
Okay. I actually didn't have any honorable mentions off the top of my head. There are a ton of things I'm going to miss. The angle I decided to take on this one, because there are so many things that I've enjoyed that are going away, was less so things that I've had a good time playing and that I will be sorry to go, and more so things that I feel introduced something interesting to the game that I'll be sorry to no longer be able to kind of play around with. As in pieces that I kind of keep coming back to every time a new set will come out and see, does this work with this person or whatever? So my list of three, I'm going to screen share them because it's fun to do that. Cool. In third place is Mistress Death. I had a great time playing with Mistress Death. I think she is one of the more interesting pieces, and I love the idea that she never dies, but she keeps giving up points. It changes the game in a really meaningful way, because you're no longer interested in trying to KO your opponent's entire force. I mean, that is still possible, strictly speaking, but if you can combine her, especially with a lockjaw or people who don't die easily, then she can give up points, but she can also get those touch of death tokens out there and start to kind of win the favor back to you. And I just think that, the Mjolnir interaction was something no one saw coming, but as soon as we saw it, we were in love with it. And from that point forward, she can find her way into a lot of teams, and she's kind of filtered her way in and out of both the sort of the Rock Age meta and the Modern Age meta. And I'll be sorry to see her go, because I think she was a lot of fun, and she really did something interesting that never felt broken, but always felt interesting and twisted the game. And on that theme was another piece that I've actually not played a lot of, but will still story as you go, and that's Peace Machine.
All right, we seem to be back. Sorry about that. We kind of lost connection briefly.
Okay. Well, anyway, I was just talking about Peace Machine. Am I still screen shared there?
You are still screen shared, yep.
All right. So the point being, I really enjoy Peace Machine. I feel like he's a piece that, if he was always Modern Age, then I would always be interested in trying to just kind of play around with him, because he provides something interesting and fun. As for the piece that I will miss the most, though, I did decide to go with a sentimental one, probably my favorite HeroClix piece ever made, which is Devil Dinosaur. How could it not be Devil Dinosaur, right? I think I wouldn't be surprised if it shows up on more lists than just mine, because he really is. Yeah, I think it's fair to say that he's my favorite HeroClix piece ever. He's so much fun to play, never feels broken. He's fun and competitive. He's fun and casual. He's a blast to just sort of laugh about and have some fun with. He's really, I don't know. We've gushed about him for years and years. I'm sorry to see Devil Dinosaur go, and I think they did a great job designing him, and it'll always be in our hearts.
While you were talking about Devil Dinosaur, I started playing Good Riddance. Not because not that the title of the song is bad. The sappiness of the song is really what captures my feelings on that guy. So I'm going to take him off my list because you've already mentioned him.
Well, okay, you don't have to, but fair enough.
Who's next? Me?
Yeah, you're up next, Jay.
Okay. That's a good pick. That reminds me that I really want to play him again now that with Wakanda to reroll Drop Bear Blade seems really fun.
Oh, it's awesome.
And also, I've never stopped building with him, especially because Lockjaw's an animal, King Shark's an animal. Maybe I'll try and throw him in there again for rotation.
You got an event in 2 weeks.
Yeah, maybe. Spoilers for my States team. So honorable mentions. Oh God, there's so many. I mean, there's a Spider-Man set, which there always will be, and a lot of good stuff within it. So, like, can I just honorable mention like that whole set, especially because there are three amazing,
sure, why not?
Three amazing
mention anything on your list.
Yeah, actually, nothing from there made their way to my proper list, but that's pretty reasonable considering the quality of the stuff we're losing. So yeah.
I'm gonna give a late honorable mention to Our Man from Joker's Wild. I'll be sorry. I'll be sorry not to just what a great piece.
He's really one of the finest.
Why is he a great piece? Enlighten me.
He's an important part of the texture
it makes you
of Hero.
I've never seen anything infuriate Jay more than the insistence that Our Man is better than Jay thinks.
These are the conversations we won't be able to have anymore.
I know it's a
single tier
problem now.
Oh man.
Anyway, Jay, I'm sorry to snipe your number one pick, Jay, but go ahead and tell us.
Oh man, it's too bad I couldn't include the other Our Man because he isn't tiring. But yeah, specific shoutouts to I think the only champ pieces we're losing are the Mephisto, Chameleon, Devil Dinosaur. I've played all of them, both in casual and competitive. And I'm not just saying that because Pat's a sponsor. What? So for my actual list, I think the third is Ironheart, just because. I mean, this is obvious. I'm also not screen sharing because I didn't think about doing the thing that Tom did, and also all these figures are so ubiquitous that it's almost unnecessary. So yes, Ironheart is obviously a good figure. She's a world's winning figure. She has a scientist keyword. She's point denial. She's just utility. If you don't have theme, she's a great taxi. She can sidestep, move equipment objects, and drop them off the same turn. This is just an amazing figure, and it's kind of sad that it's a debut figure for the character because I don't know how you top that. Like, that's a one and done. Yeah. That's a very one and done as far as needing a remake goes. The second one is the Joker, the haha Joker. I mean, spoiler alert, you're going to see him again later, but I think
at least two lists on the other side of this might have him.
Yeah, so I personally played him a lot between Point Denial and playing him with watch list errata Mastermind. He somehow got even better because of how ID cards, the world of ID cards ended up changing, and equipment just made him even better. Gotham is obviously a good keyword. He's a very winning figure because he won the Canada Cup one year. He won Worlds, and I'm sure he's won a lot of events in between. But that's a lot of win as far as I'm concerned. So he's obviously that good, and yeah. And then the number one is I haven't played this one as much as I've wanted to in competitive, just because the environment is not necessarily allowed for it outside of like very specific teams that are inherently unfun because Faust was involved. But I am planning on playing this one at least one States because synergy with the Tri-Sentinel is a fun thing. And I'm obviously talking about the Green Lantern because how can you go wrong? I'm still not a fan of giving characters that can be like 150, 35-point dials, but for the points, you can't go wrong for this figure that I really wish was unique because I've had to play against as many as 6 of him in one game. So... Screw you, PJ. I wish you were here to hear that in person. I really hate you for that one.
I'm PJ on the show.
But yeah, it's especially sad now that we're getting like the retirement announcement just as we're getting much more JSA stuff in the new set. But there is enough time. There are a good couple months left and some major tournaments to get some more play out of him, especially because Mystical is always going to be a thing. So, yeah.
All right. So, the best way to put this, as Amber is now about to kiss me goodnight. Say goodnight to everybody, Amber.
Good night, Amber.
Good night, sweetie. Mwah.
Cute.
Aren't we just disgustingly adorable? Us gross married couples. All right.
Why do birds suddenly appear?
There's birds in my house now? God damn it. Oh, stupid birds. All right. My first figure. I've loved this figure. I've used this figure a few times, but not enough. And it kind of falls under Tom's, like, hey, I'm going to miss this figure because it did some neat things, and I really didn't get the correct amount of use out of it. And that figure is Renatili. She's a carrier of Ninja Turtles and future characters and past characters. As far as keeping the theme, she just carries 4 dudes with phasing. She's got Prob. I need Prob. And she's got Prob normally or amazingly. Overall, Renatili is just probably one of the best taxis that I'm ever going to miss. My number one is up there with Tom's. Like, my super number one is Devil Dinosaur, but I felt these lists needed a little bit more oomph, and I kind of took Devil Dinosaur off of my list as my number one, to make this a little bit more cool, as it were. And just to change things up, I'm gonna be that guy. I am gonna miss the Goblin King. Because I played him at 75 points. And he was a perplexer and a probber for my monster team. The team I've had probably some of my most amounts of fun and some really cool effects out of. And it's a team I've done best in spite of not being able to follow my own rule and get some more damn practice at this game. So the Goblin King I'm going to miss, specifically that 75-point dial. I just want to point out, I am not an advocate of the 275-point dial. And I'm sure somebody's list over here, somebody's sick of playing against this guy. But at 75 points, the Goblin King, for me, will be missed. And my most not named Devil Dinosaur missed figure, for those of you watching me type it in, yes, it is 15 points. It doesn't have to get to work. I don't care about your shape change. It's the Ameridroid. Get in here!
True. I forgot he was retiring.
I'm so glad at least one of you mentioned it. I was going to say something otherwise.
Yeah, that's a good point, because that is sad.
And
I love Ameridroid.
Which of us has used the Ameridroid the most? I've been using him since he showed up in some variation. He was on my... When I succumbed to the meta and played Jakeem Thunder and the Goblin King on the same team, Ameridroid was still part of it. My most recent Scientist build, my newest Pog thing, still using the Ameridroid. Every chance I got, the Ameridroid made it to a team because I want to take your dude and put him where I want to because your positioning is too good. So yeah, the Ameridroid is my favorite figure that I'm going to lose out on, not named Devil Dinosaur, in this next rotation. He would have been my second favorite, and Renatili actually would have been an honorable mention in the past. Other honorable mention goes to Ironheart. I've recently fallen in love with the character, and she's been a very good support piece on a couple of teams that I have used. Also including, I'm losing 2 really good things in my Scientist team, and I got to replace that 40 points somehow, and I'm just still trying to figure out how I'm going to do that.
Thankfully, it is a keyword that seems to spring eternal, so I think it'll be all right.
I'm spoiler alert. I have seen a few things I can work with.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you have.
All right, time to go a little negative, guys. What are we not gonna miss? We make positivity out of our negativity anyway. We get good laughs out of this part of it. What are we not gonna miss? And I know everybody on this list except Jay is gonna miss the ha 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 Joker, right?
Yeah. Well, I have complicated thoughts on that matter.
Damn.
That said, Tom.
You want me to start? All right,
Actually,
I will start.
Let's let Jay start.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let you end.
Let me not.
You always do this in the most spectacular way possible.
Oh,
Every
I'm sorry.
time we do this, when it comes on a rotation, what are you not going to miss? Tom lights something on fire, breaks something, does spectacular amounts of damage, and it might be setting the bar too high. Or
And what
expectations
you
too high
are,
with this.
in this case, I'm going to just name some figures, but it's like lighting things on fire. But no, let me not steal anyone's. I won't steal anybody's. Steal anybody's Jakeem Thunder. It's too bad Jakeem isn't actually on my list, or else that will be even funnier. But Jay, go ahead.
I can see Jakeem not being on anybody's list just because at this point he's been nerfed to the ground. So
yeah, if you talked to me like 2 years ago or whatever, then Jakeem would absolutely be on this. I can't wait till he goes away list. It's funny how things change. Anyway,
I would honestly play him in casual at this point. It's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so my list started with my other list was Joker and then 2 other characters, and this other list is Joker and 2 other characters because like Tom, I played him a bunch, but also it's really time for him to go.
Yeah.
It's just the sheer utility of just inherently being a 50-point character with essentially 30+ click. It's ridiculous. Like, you need to deal him 6 clicks to score 10 points against super senses and then not even kill him. And he can call on like Wolverine and Cyclops. Like he can go.
Yeah,
I'll miss him. I will miss him personally, but for the health of the game, he can go. Point denial is still going to be perfectly viable post rotation, despite losing him in Ironheart. But rest in peace. And I'm not putting him in the blender because I actually will play. I probably won't play it, but I'm not going to put a superhero in a blender. Especially, it's such a good sculpt. And then the other 2 are not going to a blender because they are obviously expensive. Because number 2, actually, I don't know. I mean, they both feel pretty number 1-y, but let's go with Hawkeye as number 2 because like. It's
if I had one, he'd go in a blender.
Like I mean, right here, I could like throw him against the wall.
I don't even have a blender.
I'm not doing it. I want to sell him. So, but
he hasn't retired yet.
It's just no. In and of himself, if he had like a trait where his stats can be modified, sure. But in the world that there is obviously perplex in modifiers, it's a bit much. Like as an ID card, he was ridiculous. The mechanic in and of itself isn't necessarily so bad, but just the problem is that he invalidates so many things. It just feels unfun when you build a team and you're like, oh, this looks like a really fun Jason Swarm team, and then it's like, oh wait, but Hawkeye. I think I did have a conversation with Jason recently where I was like, this would be fun, but Hawkeye. And now just with the Proxima Spear, like he can be one because if Proxima's damage to a 5, he can theoretically start one-shotting 6-click characters. Like it's Matt Fraction Hawkeye. It's not like it's you know what? Like no. Like you can go. Yeah. Hawkeye. Like
yeah, goodbye.
Every time he has said but Hawkeye, it hasn't come up.
What do you
when he said like about my team where it's like, yeah, but your team's good, but what about Hawkeye? And every time it's like, yeah, well, that's just a risk I'm willing to take. And that risk worked out. I've only played against one Hawkeye ever, and he critically misses like second attack.
I don't think that happened. No. I said you a build of mine, and I said Hawkeye. I don't think I've ever said that about.
I thought you were talking about one of my. I feel like you've said it about one of my builds, but I tend to ignore it.
I mean, to be fair, when you're talking competitive analysis, it's a fair point. Like it's a thing.
100%. Like that, he's super common. Like he's winning a lot, so. Absolutely, he'll be happy to see.
And the good build with him just feels so point and click. Like no offense to anybody that's played it, but come on. Like you TK him up, he attacks everybody. You pick an open map with your +10. Like what? Like
yeah, it's bad.
It kind of makes me sad because I love that comic run, and that's why I have one. Not even for competitive, but like, come on, attacking every opposing character. Like yikes. And then it was only a matter of time before an object came out that just made him ridiculous because no game designer is going to consider a figure from 2 years ago that's about to retire when you make the Proxima Spear. So, bye Hawkeye. And then this last one is, of course, only one figure, but it represents a lot of figures because obviously I'm talking about the Shredders. Because come on, like we already had to deal with the cop cars years ago, and it's just like. I understand that Jason doesn't like rolling dice, and I get that Micah doesn't know how to play the game properly. Like, I'm
Ooh.
kidding. I'm just kidding.
Shots fired
opinions-
podcast is over
The
there.
opinions expressed by Jay Solomon are not anybody else's on the Married with Clicks channel. Micah, feel free to right hook him anytime you want, and I will stop you.
I have to go
Kidding.
get some lotion for that proximity burn.
I'm
Jeez.
looking forward to seeing what he plays next. And Jay Major's obviously a good player either way, but just like it's not a good mechanic. Like, I get that poison is a mechanic in this game, but you can't even size it with it anymore. It's like, just
It's not a fair comparison. There's a gulf of
not
difference
even
between
close.
poison and that stupid horse.
like, and again, that's just one that invalidates so many figures. Like, you can't play any Retaliator. Or, I mean, obviously you can, but like when you play Retaliator, it's like, oh well, I don't want to give up points automatically to Shredders, so it's like, and now they have monster theme potential as named, and it's like, oh my god, like, did they really need a boost?
No.
But it's just, it's not a good mechanic. Please stop with this mechanic. Like, I don't know. Oh god, I mean, I feel like I'm jinxing it, but like, we went from cop cars to this. Like, there's nothing they could really do to make that mechanic again, but worse. But maybe they will. So yeah, just honestly, like, the Shredders have had their time, and I get that certain people like penetrating poison, penetrating free damage, not rolling dice, all that fun stuff. But like, I've had about enough, and I like the idea of just being able to not worry about characters randomly dying because. So get out of here, Mini Shredder. You won a Worlds. You had your time. And you get to win Nationals, too, theoretically. So, whatever. And honestly, this is relevant because if Hawkeye had retired... Because with my WizKids volunteering thing, I could theoretically decide to play in Nationals or take that. And I do have a U.S. Nats qualification. And honestly, the fact this retirement announcement did influence my decision to not go with that. Although... I don't know, maybe, but like, just go away, all those figures. I'm sick of all of you.
Good?
I'm good. I think I'm good.
Therapy's done? All right. Tom, if you're not doing anything spectacular, I'm good to go last.
Oh, okay. In that case, yeah. I mean, I'll be perfectly honest with you. My numbers 2 and 1, respectively, or number 2 is definitely going to be Hawkeye, because I really dislike, for everything Jay said, and also just the principle. I don't like any piece who, by its very existence, nullifies certain types of builds, and Hawkeye is just one of those. I mean, my favorite types of pieces are pieces that do well but don't auto kill something and just make something completely unworkable. Like, I've used Green Arrow a lot, but he's certainly not one of my favorite pieces because there are certain types of builds you just don't play because Green Arrow's out there. So yeah, Hawkeye was definitely going to be on that list. Also, the Shredders are my huge number one. My Shredders are numbers 1 through 5 or whatever for each one of them, because I really do resent that mechanic. But to keep things interesting, I'm not going to just focus on talking about things that people have already talked about. So I will do my my honorary other top 3, and I will screen share them because that's the type of person that I am. We're going to start out with my number 3. He's been mentioned already, but let's talk a little bit more about that Goblin King.
I want to point out Tom is very quickly highlighted the 275-point version of the Goblin King.
That's very true.
Myself on that one.
Well, the funny part about it is that, to me, I honestly think Black Panther has taken Goblin King's place as far as a one-man army who's nigh unto undefeatable. Since, at least you can pulse wave Goblin King. But Black Panther is not retiring, and Goblin King is. And I'll be happy to kick him on his big green buttocks on the way out the door, because I just, like, again, it's not, part of the reason why I'm happy that he goes away is that, frankly, there is nothing wrong with somebody saying, I'm just going to play Goblin King with Tony Stark's car and a symbiote and an ID card I'll probably never use and something else. That is a totally valid choice, and there's nothing wrong with it. But to me, it's just not. It's not what HeroClix is about, and I've always disliked true, like, literal one-man army teams. One-man armies often have like one guy doing all the work, but a little bit of backup, and it can twist things around. But Goblin King is a legit one-man army, especially post-errata. Pre-errata, he was worse, certainly, but I think they kind of over nerfed him and made it so that his only viability was as a pure one man army, and it just makes it less appealing to me. So I'm not really venomous towards Goblin King. Admittedly, I don't want to light him on fire or anything like that. But I am happy that he's no longer out there as an option for just like the height of a certain flavor of point denial. Next up on my list is a nearly ubiquitous piece, but it's Overdrive. And it's really too bad because he's like my namesake, even though my nickname of Tommy Overdrive has absolutely nothing to do with the character. I still thought it was cool that here comes a figure who's kind of named in a way that is appropriate to me. And admittedly, when I first saw him, I was really interested in playing him. But then I saw him again, and 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 I saw him again. And eventually I just said, you know what? There will come a day when I'm not going to see any more Overdrive, and I'll be happy when that day comes. It's not that I think he's super broken. It's not that I think he's super bad. It is that I am just so tired of seeing Overdrive. It's the same argument for the Shredders, frankly. I'm just, yeah, the two go together pretty naturally. So, I'm just happy that people are going to choose other things for their carry across the board figures. I don't think that carry across the board strategies are going to go away because Overdrive is gone, but I do think that they're going to change their flavor and stripes, and I'm really interested to watch that happen. So this is more like character fatigue rather than character venom. I have nothing against Overdrive, but I'm super tired of seeing it. And as I say, I do think that moving forward, the carry across the board and attack people teams will still have their viability. I'm glad that they're going to take a bit of a hit. They're also going to take a bit of a hit because of my number one choice now, which is Sam Cap. Yeah, thank heavens. Another Avengers Defenders War chase that I'm happy to see go. Isn't that interesting? They really overdid it with Sam Cap. I'm pretty done with the carry across the board and then call somebody in and nuke you from orbit. That just is. I was really happy when a lot of the most broken ID cards retired, but the fact is there are still some pretty great ID cards out there. So yeah, she can't go across the whole board and call in a Hawkeye to nuke your team, but she can still come across the whole board and call in a Wolverine or call in a Cyclops or call in Jean Grey or a Chase Cyclops or Chase Iceman, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Other options. I'm just tired of it. It's another thing. It's just a strategy that I'm tired of. It's not that I think it's a bad strategy. It's not that I have anything against it. But fatigue eventually sets in because I love HeroClix and I think it's rich and fun and interesting and great. But it comes to a point where you get tired of showing up at tournaments and just seeing the same old things over and over and over again. Unimine's already at that point, and I'm really looking forward to saying goodbye to him, but unfortunately that's not happening right now. As for pieces that I am feeling a certain fatigue for, the Shredders are at the top of that list, but Sam Cap's not far behind. So no offense, Sam Cap. No offense to people who like Sam Cap. I don't even really dislike her myself, but I'll be pretty happy when she's no longer with us.
Well, it's funny because it's funny because as designed, she's not even that bad, but the ID card synergy just took it really over the top. Like right. As printed to begin, I don't think nobody could have a problem with her. She makes one attack, but
agreed. No, I 100% agree. It's only ID cards that are the problem with her.
Mm-hmm. All right. So a lot of really good ones have been taken, so I've had to resort to comedy for some of mine.
Perfect.
This one, but I'm going to move this guy to number 2 because my number 1 is pure humor. My number 3 is also pure humor, and this is a local problem. This is purely a local problem, and it deserves to be said. Sharif, for the love of God, stop! You're done. He's gone. Poison is done for. Sharif, just stop.
Shots fired once again on the wrong podcast.
I love Sharif, and I feel like he's a really good player, but he's so attached to this figure. It's almost sad.
But it's quaint because, what a figure to be attached to. It's not like he's attached to Unimind or something. He's attached to Poison.
Like I said, this is a purely local problem, and these guys have addressed a lot of what I've had to say as far as what I'm not going to miss. So I've had to resort to a local issue in this matter. My next one, Ha 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 ha, Joker.
Yeah.
You want to talk about figure fatigue? Do you know how many of these things I've killed?
You know how many of these things I haven't killed?
And I've got like an 80% kill rate because I got to the point where the second he existed, I said I need to bring Flurry that can do like minimum 3 damage to this guy consistently, and I'm so sick of seeing this guy, and I'm not gonna miss seeing him. I'm just done with this guy. Sure, he had an errata. Didn't stop him from showing up, did it? So, this guy, like, it breaks the number. Like, how many different ways do we have to break design rules on a single figure? Because right here, oh boy, did they break them. What about clicks of life? 50 points for 37 clicks is okay. I'm exaggerating, of course, but you'll end up doing like 37 clicks of damage before you score 10 points in some cases, right? So this is just a guy who's been. I knew he was a problem, and I don't recall playing him much. I think I've maybe played him once or twice.
I can't think of anything with you playing him.
No.
So.
Like I've never resorted to this sort of thing. I might have played him in a sealed ones. Overall, I am just sick of seeing that big purple wall of Haas. Or white and black if you're a savage and use it that way.
For what it's worth, for data's sake, I can honestly say that I played him how many times now between point denial, net decking, Tom, all that stuff? He's died twice in all of my time playing him, I think. And I've never played him below 50.
In fact, Jay, I think you're the only one who's managed to have one. You and Tom are the only guys who've had them survive against me.
Yeah, because that one game I won and you didn't touch him. So yeah.
Well, because I was trying to kill that other Joker. I was like,
well, that wasn't
not going to kill that guy. I don't care about that guy.
Yeah, but that particular team didn't necessarily enable those kind of kills because it wasn't as consistent. But yeah.
Anyway, my honorable mention goes to sketch figures.
Yeah, agreed.
What?
Yeah.
What a great idea for 4 figures that were in black and white in their comics. What a bad idea for everything else that they put it on.
Yeah,
I love you, WizKids, but was there a problem at the factory? Is that what happened?
I think there were like 2 or 3 that were good. Like I liked the Thug because he looked old and grizzled. I liked Moon Knight, and Ares was cool because Greek statues are a thing. I think that
I never minded them for the way they looked. I just thought it was silly and unnecessary.
Yeah, I know there was one or two that looked really good. Nightwatch, looked beautiful as a sketch figure. Still didn't need to be a sketch figure. And Black Cat looked beautiful as a sketch figure. Once again, didn't need to be one. It worked for the Turtles. It just didn't work for like an entire set having sketch and not sketch. Because what was worse is when you get that high value figure you're really looking for. It's like, now you get a sketch version. Like, gross. I got a sketch version of Jakeem Thunder.
That was my exact thought. Yeah.
What is he riding? It looks so phallic.
Oh God.
We all know what it looked like. Don't lie. Don't you even lie to me. All right.
God.
But my final one. I've hated this figure for no reason than its existence. It's never made meta play. It has never done anything. I don't even think it's seen sealed play. My number one, I'm not gonna miss you. Get out of modern. You're taking up a space. I didn't have it ready. The Thanagarian. You see this guy?
Yes.
Right here? Gone.
That's a meaningless vendetta right there.
It's the most meaningless grudge ever. There's no reason for me to be this angry at this figure, and the only reason is that these guys took the good one. So I've just been angry at the existence of the Thanagarian in general. So bye-bye.
No, I mean it makes a little bit of sense because at least he's terrible, as opposed to a perfectly serviceable and decent 25-point hour man that Jay had no reason to be against.
Oh my gosh! One day they'll make a good one.
The only thing that came out of the Thanagarian was the fact that the uncommon Hawkman existed, and I loved that dude.
He did. He really did.
To the point where I never got a chance to play in any limited tournaments. If I did, I had this whole plan to use the JSA Atom and the JSA Hawkman together as like this flying duo of, this is 60 points, why is it killing me?
Here's an unrelated question that we never talked about beforehand, but I'm interested just to know your opinion. Do you think that this was a good place to do the cut?
That is a good question.
Yeah, Jay, what do you think of that?
I mean, that's exactly what I expected, so I'm not surprised. And honestly, I think it was fine. Especially, I mean, like nobody's gonna miss Goblin King now that he's basically been nerfed out of existence by the sheer existence of Exospecs. So, like, I'm not surprised. I don't know where else they would have cut. Like, keep What If. Like, who cares? Like,
they could have cut. Well, they could have cut Elseworlds. I mean, that's what I'm thinking of.
Well, they could have, but early. Like, I don't think Green Arrow. Like, the only reason to do that is like Green Arrow, and I think Green Arrow is not point and click enough to because he doesn't have movement attack. Like, I think I'm perfectly happy with where they retired.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like Tom is well thought on this one, so I'll go next on this one. This is a by the numbers cut for sure. Like, I personally feel, and this is coming from a Magic the Gathering mind, so ignore me on that fact. In my head, I have Elseworlds tied at the hip to What If, but by the numbers, Elseworlds hasn't been around long enough to be cut, and as a result, WizKids is going to stick to the number game, and they're going to play their numbers correctly. And this also gives us, because Elseworlds is a July set, they're moving the cuts to July. That means we have a July to July kind of situation where we lose our worlds. So generally, this next cuts that we're going to see, we're probably going to see the elimination up to, I'm guessing X-Men, but I might be wrong. I have to take a closer look at it to actually do the numbers and run the numbers. But anyway, I feel like Elseworlds should have gone with What If because of that design feeling of the two sets being tied to each other, and they're supposed to kind of have that sort of thing going on. But because of release dates and the way it worked out, unfortunately, I feel like WizKids did what they do, and I think that's kind of more important to keep with the pattern. So I feel they did the right thing as far as this cut is concerned, although they could have cut off before What If and kept What If in another year. Because, like Jay said, Goblin King is slowly being replaced by things that are, strong with the Exospecs or stuff like that, or even using Exospecs with the Goblin King would have been pretty nutty as it is. It's a kind of hit and miss with me, but I feel like What If being gone isn't offensive to me. I just, and it seems to. I'm so middle of the road when I make these decisions. I'm sorry, guys.
No, it's fine.
I'm so uncontroversial, except when it comes to Thanagarians. All right, Tom. I feel like you have some words on this one.
Not a lot, really. I was more interested just in your thoughts on it. I am very glad that they didn't cut Elseworlds personally, because I think Green Arrow is one of the few things out there that is a fairly reliable. I mean, he's not point and click, but he can be a good, reliable anti-Unimind force. And I mean, Unimind remains a really dangerous, nasty, awful piece. Very much no good, bad piece. And I think that without more controls, then he would have more of an opportunity to run wild. We'll see as we go forward whether he continues to be the dominant force that he has been in the past, but I don't see a lot that's dethroning him. Just a lot of, Black Panther is up there as an alternative way of doing, maybe not a similar thing, but a thing that is akin to it. And we really haven't seen people playing much of the Leeches and Darwins and anti-pick-a-power things. We'll see if we do any of that. But the point is, Green Arrow is a good control measure for a lot of the more powerful, potent, overdone one-man army or high-point, single-figure, super tentpole teams. And I like keeping those under control because I think the game is more rich and more interesting when it's not as reliant on big tentpoles and one-man armies. But I do wish that they had actually imposed it earlier because, to me, US Nats sort of begins the half-year push that goes from the national championships in the U.S. and Canada and Mexico and elsewhere, through to the Rock Cups, both the national level Rock Cups and then the Rock World Cup and then the HeroClix World Championship. Like it's like the championship season of HeroClix, and I kind of wish that the U.S. Nats was the launching pad for the new meta, as opposed to the last hurrah of the old meta. I can see it both ways, but in my opinion, I would prefer it to be like kick off the new HeroClix season, if you want, Major League season, with the new standard. But that's just my opinion.
I mean, in all fairness, compared to other retirements, this is one of the least we are getting rid of problematic stuff that we've had in a while. Like, this is one of the. I understand the retirement happens and it gets rid of bad stuff, but honestly, like, this is the best environment we've had for quite a while. So it's like, I don't necessarily care that much about it. It's just like, I don't know, Shredders and Hawkeye compared to, like, I don't know, team bases and whatever in other years. Like, it's
yeah, Felix,
hard to be that angry about it.
Yeah. And I think I've touched on what Tom said as far as, the way that a rotation should look in the past, where we've kind of said one thing should be a culmination of others, and where Tom is saying, we should cut off just before U.S. Nationals, and Nationals, all the national tournaments become like this culmination of a grand meta. I kind of see where that's going, right? Where, we start with U.S. Nationals being the first major tournament with the new rotation. Bam! This is the smallest version of the rotation that we get. Then come to Worlds. Worlds is still going to maintain this is the biggest version of this year's Modern that we're going to see. And that, I think, is great. Like, when I say this year, I mean all the sets that make the most sense to be the earliest parts of the rotation to the last parts of this year, and then everything kind of waits until the next tournament season come around June. I agree with that 100%. And it would be nice to keep that June date. I agree with you, because that just feels better. You feel like a season, and a season of growth, and a season of building, and a season of that kind of stuff. But because WKOs make kind of the tournament season year round now,
yeah,
it's kind of hit and miss. So it'll be WKOs and maybe Canadian Nationals that start to see the beginning of the growth of the rotation. I've rambled. All right.
Let's hear what the people have to say.
Let us hear what the people have to say. Those people include our patrons over at patreon.com/BradenClicks. If you want to support the channel in your own way, you can check that out. Of course, if if you don't have the extra, that's fine. What you're doing is fine. Watching the show, liking, subscribing, all that kind of stuff. That's great. If you want to support us a little bit extra, check us out at patreon.com/MaverClicks. $1 gets you access to our patron Discord. We've kind of been active in conversation with Nate on his WKO team, which was what I like to call a super budget version of a competitive team. And apparently he did fairly well with it, not getting exact details. But I really liked it, and you can check that out in the patron Discord, of course. As well, you get access to our patron Hangouts, which we do once a month on the first Sunday of the month, unless there's a major wrestling event like this year, where the first Sunday of the month is WrestleMania. So the April patron Hangout is going to be on April 14th. So if you're a part of the Patreon at patreon.com/MaverClicks, you get access to those things at any valuation, $5 and up. If you're listening right now, it is time to call in. Join the chat on the Google Hangout link that I sent you guys in your patron inboxes. As well, at the $10 mark, you get access to all of that, plus our monthly patron tokens, which, in most professional form, I forgot I brought the box over to Emily to catch her up. but we do send out a monthly patron tokens every 2 months to make sure that everybody gets their stuff, and kind of save on the production costs of those just a little. They are in the mail for a couple other months, and more are coming in the mail for the next 2 months after that. So anyway, I have rambled. We go to the Facebook first, and our Facebook, speaking of Patreon, has a question from our Alpha patron, the first patron that we've ever had on the channel, and probably going to be the last, Mr. Michael Fedor. He goes on to say, okay, had all day and evening to think about asking a question. I'm reading this verbatim, by the way. Just got back from my WKO, not an RKO, as I was told a couple weeks ago. My bad. I think I had a momentary slip of the tongue where I said RKO instead of WKO.
WKO out of nowhere. Get out of my head.
Great minds think alike, and fools seldom differ. So,
That's what they say.
Sorry. So on a scale of 1 to Jason drinking Red Bull bombs, that's a big number. Are you psyched for this new Rebirth set? Jay, I'm gonna let you start. How psyched are you for Rebirth?
It's hard to say because I don't know the dial for one of my anticipated figures because I haven't seen Cyclone, who's Unclick's JSA. Which is funny enough what I decided.
That's you're out of your mind. That's not gonna happen.
I mean, there's JSA, and that's pretty much all I need out of a DC set. Like, honestly, if I just got more, like, I don't know, like I love DC, but like, I know I'm gonna get more Batman. Like, I love Batman villains. We're always gonna get the you son of a what? I just hate your wrestling thing because I know wrestling and I hate the wrestling stuff you like. No. What? Hate you. Yeah. So there's JSA stuff which I'm excited about, and I don't. The stuff that I like in DC, I know we're gonna get because I like the Batman villain stuff. So even if we don't get it in this set, it's gonna come out eventually. I'm so happy with DC just because the cons are always good and Batman's always good. So like I don't care what they make as long as they make JSA. So I'm happy. I don't know how I rank that on a 1 to 10, but we are getting some good stuff. And also the champion select piece, Prez, 10 out of 10 pick, 10 out of 10. So that's a 10 out of 10. The other champ pieces are 10 out of 10. And unfortunately, there's always be wasted slots. So there's all the Defiance, whatever versions. I don't care, but I'm gonna 100% the set because I may as well for DC. So I guess I'm technically 10 out of 10. I don't know. I don't know how to assign numbers to emotions.
All right, Tom. What are your thoughts?
Not sure how to rate it numerically, especially when the highest number is Red Bull bombs.
Not just any Jason's Red Bull bombs.
Right. So far, I'm not super primed for the set, partly from content. I'm not much of a DC guy as far as reading is concerned, although DC clicks, I certainly tend to enjoy quite a bit. And there seems to be a lot of repetition of characters, but not a lot of shifting focus, which seems like a missed opportunity. That being said, I am always excited for a new HeroClix set, and the fact that like I have yet to see, mark my words, I'll be wrong here. With a couple really powerful pieces aside, there's really nothing that is coming out that has me dreading showing up at my local game store, which is a big feature for me of a good set. And so, from that perspective, I'm always excited for new HeroClix. I'm not gonna sit here on the show and be unnecessarily negative. I can't quite share Jay's unbridled enthusiasm, but my enthusiasm may have a bridle, but I'm gonna ride it all the same.
All right, while we're on the subject, I'm gonna get myself a Red Bull right now.
I guess you have the best possible perspective on this, Jason, because you just love DC so much more than anybody else, right?
You know what? I'm pretty okay with DC. I like a couple figures from it. DC's, as far as a comic book company is. It definitely should stay as a comic book company. There's a lot of Deathstroke in this set, which already has me hyped. Like, there's okay. I'm interested in a new set. Oh, there's a Deathstroke. I need a bigger arm now.
There's another one. There's another one.
Oh, yeah. There's. It seems like one in every rarity. Except for Chase, is there a metal version of Deathstroke?
No, the two that we are missing are the Ares version and Barbados, the god
Ares.
The whole thing.
Wow, that'll be something.
Yeah, so it'll be.
Well, it's not Ares, but like it's basically Ares. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Overall, the set seems interesting from what I've seen. And I've seen a little extra, spoiler alert, for tomorrow's content.
Oh!
I mean, Scott's done, guys. Ours was coming, right? So, there's some stuff that I kind of went, huh? For? I was talking to Tom and Jay about earlier. And, yeah, overall, I love new sets. Because first things first is sealed. This looks like it's going to be a really cool sealed environment, without saying too much. I think it's going to be a really cool and sealed environment. And yeah, just I'm gonna leave it at that and say I'm pretty excited for the set. It looks really cool, and I'm very plussed by a lot of the figures. And there's going to be a lot of casual play, and like always, there's going to be a few figures that kind of stand out in meta play. I'm looking forward to making use of them, and I am looking forward to bringing a Dawnbringer or Dawnbreaker. For all you guys who think you're countering my teams with your Dawnbreakers, you can't stop me. I'm just going to Dawnbreaker your Dawnbreaker.
Wow.
Wow.
That got real.
Yo, I heard you like Dawnbreakers.
It's unique.
Oh
God.
No, I think I don't. Regardless of whether or not it's unique, I'm gonna make my pogs. If you think your Dawnbreaker's gonna stop me, I'm bringing one too. So
I never assumed that I'll ever get a chase.
I mean, my goal is to get one way or another. If it costs me a little bit of money, all right. That said, we're going to move into the chat. So if you're live in the chat, in big capital letters, put question in front of your question so we can see it, because you guys have been active and I love it. And the first question comes from Lucian Carter. Is anyone going to Phantasm Equinox? I'm new to HeroClix and I've been asked to run a tournament. It's in Peterborough, Ontario on March 31st. That sounds like a lot of responsibility for a new player.
Thanks.
That said, I did a quick Google up on the Phantasm Equinox. It's a sci-fi role-playing gaming convention. I'm going to share the link with my friends here in the chat so they can take a quick look at what I am looking at here. I'm just looking at the front page, by the way, of it. And I'm going to put it on this scene here, and we're going to take a look at it. We're looking at the Gamers Equinox, which is March 30th and 31st, 2019. And this is, of course, the weekend of the weekend. The Saturday is 10 a.m. Sunday is 10 a.m. till 8 p.m. The Saturday runs till midnight. It is at the McConnell Street Activity Center, 577 McConnell Street in Peterborough. $40 for the weekend, $25 for Saturday, $15 for Sunday, $8 per session. I'm not sure what that means. I'd say go for the whole day sort of situation when it comes to a convention. I know myself, I'm not going to be able to make that because I believe that's this weekend. And
yeah, it is.
That makes it a little hard for myself to make it out. I don't know if any of the dudes here are going to make it. Let me get my
it's an hour and a half for me. Yikes.
Yeah. Kind of dropped on our lap there. I don't foresee any of us getting there, but email us at marriedwithclicks@gmail.com and I will forward said email to Jay, or I will tell him when your email comes in because he does have some access to our stuff. And he is a good guy to talk to when it comes to tournament organization because he's done it. And he's been judging locally for a while. And he's also
you really can't give me any credit, can you? You just really...
Have you looked at the schedule at all to see what the build is?
No, I haven't at all.
It's a 300-point constructed Golden Age.
Oh, God.
That's going to be hard.
Oh,
that is not an easy tournament to run. Sorry, buddy.
Oh, I'm not touching that with a 20-foot.
Oh, it does make me want to play. Like I think that'd be really fun.
Don't get me wrong.
But,
I want to bring an Alyosha Craven team.
Yeah, don't get our reactions misconstrued. It's not that Golden Age is bad, but Golden Age is hard. There's a lot of interactions out there.
Tom, what are you doing on that day?
I honestly don't know, so it's not impossible. I'm probably getting together with my buddies for our semi-weekly role-playing session, but if that doesn't work out, well, Peterborough's not that far, and I can stop at home and play. Golden Age.
Oh, are you kidding? Oh, God.
I want to see what kind of animal team I can build with modern animals in Alyosha Craven. That's what I want to see.
Dang.
Golden Age. Okay, so the first thing, for future reference, never do that.
That's newts.
That's brave because
Yeah.
especially when you're new to the game, I understand the need to allow people to play whatever they want. And if it's like a local play group that's insisting on this, okay, cool. I hope they're all ready with rulings based on the new rules and everything like that. Because Golden Age is super difficult to run when you start getting into figures from the Golden Age, and you have to readapt old rulings to old wording to new wording. You catch where I'm coming from on this? So
Yeah, somebody just asked me a question today that made me just have an aneurysm. So literally today, funnily enough. So,
and it was a Golden Age question, right?
yeah, somebody asked me. The question was, what happens if Copycat takes a character that is piloting a vehicle and then she reverts? And it's just like, I don't know. Leave me alone.
Oh God. Copycat. That's a great idea. Now I want to go on a day. Do a copycat tape.
All right. Yeah. So
I'm probably
yourself.
not going though, to be honest. So.
Step one: prepare yourself. You've taken on a bit of a bear. Familiarize yourself with rulings and understand how tournament organization runs. I'm not sure about the level of prizing you're offering, so please, we need a little bit more information as far as helping you out with this. So please email us at marriedwithclicks@gmail.com. Just highlight in your subject line what you're, who you are and what you're doing, so that we can catch the email and not just instantly kind of ignore it. Because there's two people I pay attention to in emails, to be brutally honest, and then everything else I kind of read in brief. So I kind of need you to highlight in capital letters your subject line, please, just so that I know the urgency level here, because I want to make sure we can help you as best we can. But first, step one is, of course, calm down and ignore our reactions, because we've been playing the game for a long time. Yeah.
It's not necessarily going to be a problem. It could be a lot of fun. I hope it's a great success, whether I'm there or not.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, the big one was first. KJ Foster, and I kind of laid down a law on him on this one a little bit, but he said, since Tom played next month's #1 hit from Drake,
that's funny.
He wants Celine Dion, "My Heart Will Go On," and he wants to hear from everyone else in the community. I had to draw a line. I drew the line at Celine Dion. She defected to Vegas. I would sooner let the Swollen Members be our musical choice than Celine Dion. That's a little bit of Canadiana for you. And if you're looking up the Swollen Members, please keep Safe Search on.
Yeah, that's fair.
Tom,
yes.
Are you up to the Celine Dion challenge?
I will. I'll take it under advisement.
How heavy a guitar? You want to do a metal version together?
I don't. I'm not good at guitar.
Fair enough. All right.
At least that one I can sing, though. Not well.
All right. Ricky Yell wants to know, because we do this at rotation. We did this at rotation last year. What figure is going in the blender this year?
If I owned the figure, it would be Shredder Clone, because it's a Shredder, but he's also only a rare, so it doesn't feel like I'm throwing away money.
I've got one with a dial that doesn't move. Holla at you.
Okay, let's make this happen.
I'd rather just get one of each of the Shredders and melt them down into a slog.
Okay, I'm going to commit to this now. I have a mini Shredder. I'm trying to get rid of it somehow, but if by the time retirement happens and nobody wants it anymore, I will blend it on air. At retirement, if I don't otherwise get rid of it. So I'm not committing to that, but we'll see what happens.
I'm a Ninja Turtles fan, so I do not support this desecration of a great IP. And
I support it.
I mean, yeah, I know you support it. You guys both are haters of the Shredders. I'm a haters on my bad dice rolls, so.
It's funny because I hate Shredders, but I love every other version of Shredder that's not like those trait ones. Like I'm planning on playing the new 100 or the new one, so.
I've played them once. I felt filthy afterwards because that was not on the level of my Red Lantern team or my many poison versions of that kind of strategy. So I feel you a little, guys. Feel you a little. So apparently it's going to be some Shredders. Shredders are going to be shredded. Shredders be shredding.
Yeah. We got to figure some way of doing that. I'll go back.
Okay, so Jay, you're the one who obliterated the Faust last time, right?
Yes, sir. That was me.
Is that blender still working, or did you break it with that?
No, the blender still works fine. Although
Okay.
to be fair to Mike curb stomped his house too, so let's not exclude him from this.
It was
Mike-
Faust. Faust was the one I burned too, right? Like we've done some real.
Oh
Yeah.
God, did we all do
We've done
the
some nasty things to Felix Faust on this show.
Wait, what did Jason do?
What's that?
What did you do, Jason?
I think my Felix Faust is actually still upstairs.
You're on like the 5th floor, right? Like you could just check him out the window on camera. That'd be
I
pretty
am
cool.
on what would technically
Oh no,
be
no,
the second floor.
Yeah, sorry.
Even
been a
though
while.
it's actually 2-story apartment. So I'm on my first story is on the 3rd story of the building, and if I don't make it quite into the park behind my building, while the lawn is being mowed, I might land in the people below us, and they are not nice when things happen like that.
It's too bad.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can think of something fun.
Oh, look what I just did to a Thanagarian. My hands. I
You made
Hulk
the victory,
hand
that guy.
things,
Damn.
So. Remember, and never forget Major Force. Oh no, it wasn't Major Force. It was
I just said
Major Victory. Major Victory.
Yeah. Or Hammer Drone.
No, the Hammer Drone was Alex at Canadian Nationals, but I kept it and I brought it to him the next year.
Okay, I gotcha.
That was at a battle royale. He was so angry at the Hammer Drone, he busted it, and its like leg fell off. And I grabbed it, and I would send him pictures throughout the year of it, like close-up pictures of the Hammer Drone. It was fun. All right, next up, Nolan Lake. From the perspective of a HeroClix player with a low budget, the rotation is devastating. I struggle to keep up. What advice would you give to stay a competitive player? Could we see a loss of competitive players with many sets being on the chopping block? Okay, I get this question every year. And I have to say this. If you're on a budget, make sure your budget counts for this. Perhaps if you're looking to stick to being a competitive player, you may have to stick to buying most of your product purchasing being sealed tournaments, while at the same time cherry picking the figures that you want to get. This is the budget version, because what happens is if you buy a brick, say, you don't necessarily get what you're looking for. You'll get a full set of commons. You'll get most of a set of uncommons. You get a couple rares, a couple super rares, maybe a chase, maybe a prime, depending on what you're looking for. That is a brick. That is approximately, and Nolan Lake is Canadian, so I can throw this number out. About 150 bucks Canadian now is what a brick's running.
Mm-hmm.
125 to 150, depending where you buy. Okay? Yeah. So, on that, when you look at that kind of number, that is the lottery number. Now, you can take that $125 and build a team a little better. Now, that $125 as well that you're spending on a brick, if you do that brick every set, let's say, that's like, let's say $500 a year. This is, of course, blowing it out of proportion. Even if you cut those numbers in half, and you're looking at like $65, like a half a brick worth, you can budget that out and build a team over the year, get yourself ready for the next competitive tournament. The problem, of course, is keeping up with the sets that have new things and then rebuilding your team. That becomes the fatal flaw in the system is, I built a team. Is it going to last all the way through rotation? You can't build it right away. You kind of have to look at it and do it at the last second. Also, Nolan, you're part of a community. Borrow. Borrow, beg, plead, whatever. Holler at most players are pretty good at being able to either A, loan you what they're not using, or B, find somebody who can help you in that borrowing sense. Because some of Tom's most successful teams are maybe 20% his.
Yeah, no, it's true.
And I got a Nightwing ID card that has some wear and tear on it. I got it back from Tom that way. I gave it to Tom immaculate.
Yeah.
And
That's true.
It's not like, oh my God, Tom, what did you do to my ID card? It was getting used, and I was okay with that investment being used. We were all kind of wondering if I'd ever get that ID card back. It was actually a running bet. I felt that Tom would eventually give it back to me, because at one point I did start using it myself.
Good call. You were onto something.
Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned borrowing, because there are times when people want to borrow stuff from me, and I almost want to not to use it myself, and I'm like, but other people have more reason to use my pieces than me, because I don't care about winning or losing, so, you know. But yeah, there's a lot of people with good collections that aren't, like, nobody's playing everything. like Jason collects pretty much everything, and there's only so much he's going to use. There's only so much I'm going to use. Like, even if you have to make like slight adjustments for non-optimal things, you can still play perfectly serviceable teams with borrowing.
Yeah. Hey Tom, anything you want to add there?
I think you've pretty much nailed it. I mean, it's hard to speculate. I don't, I don't think that I fall into the category of somebody who's really working on a budget or has a particularly limited collection. I mean, you're right in saying that I often borrow to round out my teams, but I'm not quite. I don't think I'm in the situation that he's describing, because I mean, if I really need to get something, I usually can, and I get enough product that I'm mostly crossing it off. It's mostly just filling in the gaps. I think the biggest thing that you like borrowing is the biggest and most important thing out there as far as filling in the things you don't have. And what I think it really means is that, unfortunately, or perhaps fortunately, depending upon your perspective on it, it encourages you to think outside the box of your standard hero clicks thing. I mean, it is hard to go into any major competitive tournament and find somebody who's going to lend you a Cyclops ID card or a Cyclops student ID and an SR Cyclops, because everyone's already using them. Everyone's using their Wolverine ID cards with Wolverine on it. So you do have to kind of, sometimes you can borrow, and also though you need to start thinking of different types of configurations and team builds, and don't limit yourself based on your collection, but rather also don't limit yourself in terms of sort of the popular norms and trends, because oftentimes that's harder to fill out. But think more broadly about the sorts of teams that you want to try out. And it's great that, like, if you're not on Roll 20, get on Roll 20 with some friends. You can play with things you don't have and see if they work for you before you have to kind of find that out in a live setting. And apply those resources to your benefit. It's also a good place to go and make connections you don't already have, because those people can also lend you the figures in person if you need to borrow there as well. Like, it is kind of, I know it's easier said than done, but it is engaging with the community.
Also, it's also. Oh, sorry, you go first. Don't worry.
No, you go.
I was just gonna say, I know of at least one competitive player who is good because it's Adam Freeman, and he doesn't collect; he only borrows. So it's obviously a thing that's possible to do. So
yep.
You can do it.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add too, like Tom was saying with Roll 20, even if you're not using Roll 20 and you have friends locally, do what's called proxying, where you put a figure stand in or print off a dial and just kind of keep track of where you are on the dial, so that you know when you've taken a certain number of clicks, you know where you are. This is actually how Amber was able to make top 16 one year in Canadian Nationals. She ran a with what's the figure? Brainiac Skullship. Her whole plan, we were going to buy this Brainiac Skullship there, and she was going to run it. But we didn't have it on hand. So what we did was we took a Galactus, which was the same base size at the time, or something from that set. I can't remember what the figure was. So as we understood what the base size was, and then we had her play it out with the dial kind of on paper aside. We did our best to hide certain things when she needed to hide them and understand where she was going with the dial and whatnot. But that helped her become significantly better with the figure, and that that sort of thing goes a long way. Magic the Gathering players do it all the time. They print their stuff. They'll like write the card name on a piece of cardboard or on a piece of paper and shuffle it in with decks. I used to do it in when I was a quote unquote semi-pro Magic player, where we would take like business cards, throw them in with other Magic cards in the thing, shuffle them up, try out the deck before we invested in the cards, knowing that was a deck we were going to play. It's important to know how to get around that when you do have a budget before committing to the team. These are all ways you can do it to avoid doing what I do, which is just get everything, and then you have everything, you don't have the problem. Even I'm starting to cool off on that, to be brutally honest. But I do support my own everyman format, which is why I still get like brick levels and stuff like that. And I try to maintain a collection because me and Amber have started playing games occasionally live on the camera. And we need that, a selection of figures so that we can make that entertaining. So don't collect like me because I entertain people with my collection. Collect the way you need to collect in order to maintain your competitive eye. Now, the other thing to also aside with this is know where you're able to get the things when you're about to commit to the team, because nothing's worse than, there's a lot of stores, say in the U.S., or other parts of the country in Canada, that have a good selection of singles you can pick from. The Greater Toronto area, not so much. You guys would know better. Are there any stores that really have a solid selection of singles locally, or
Not really. Like
I never
401
really looked.
doesn't open. 401 only used to have singles because of unboxings, which don't do anymore. I don't think there really is anywhere to go anymore, unfortunately.
which means as a Canadian, we do have to find other means to get singles. So if you're watching this, please tell me if there's a Canadian store, because shipping and customs can be such a nightmare as a Canadian. But you do have to realize you have to plan for things like Troll and Toad and Cool Stuff Inc. having to ship that stuff to you. Know well in advance, commit well in advance to your team. And then anything you have to beg, borrow, and plead at the last second was a last second decision made by some kind of change that you might have missed along the way. That's kind of the best way to I say to approach it. Take the money you would spend, budget that. If you want some of the lower rarity stuff, if you know me well enough, just I'll give it to you. If it's commons and uncommons, I want it out of my house. One day I'm gonna actually take a picture of those buckets. They're stupid. Those buckets are stupid and they're overflowing. I need them gone. So yeah. So that kind of covers all of that, I think, to that degree. So, Tom, is there anything else you want to add before we ship out of here?
No, it's good. Good to chat.
Jay?
I guess one could say that between their retirement announcement and all the exciting new sets, including the DC set, it almost feels like this game is going for a rebirth. And I'm looking forward to it.
Data proof, sir. Data proof.
Oh, gosh. I hope I don't get any really awkward phone calls with my girlfriend after that.
Yeah,
it's the wisdom of Solomon right there.
Oh, man. Shazam! Can't wait for that movie. It's getting some really good early.
Oh, man, I'm so hyped for that movie.
Yeah, it looks good.
Before we get into it, Nathan Deal wants to know what beats Hawkeye right now.
Barrier is good. There's you can call on a Rusty to do it, and you get the inspiration off of the Iceman faculty ID. Off the top of my head, you can play Joker's Wild Green Lantern. I don't think there are any pogs that do it or any weird sort of anything like that, but there's enough ways.
I think Don't Die is viable, whether your particular flavor of Don't Die is like Black Panther stacked up with stuff, or Lockjaw and Joker, and people who can just take it, like Lockjaw, anything built around Lockjaw, even Starro, he's like a Lockjaw. Starro is a pretty good starting point, and Starro never needs to leave, and he can take the hit and survive. So it's people who can survive.
Gotham teams are also well placed to deal with him because Backer release has super senses. He can't shoot Green Arrow. Who cares about hitting Joker? I guess he can kill Penguin.
I don't know. Yeah, you got to be careful with it though, because a lot of the Gotham teams do spread themselves out, especially if they're winning map, so that he can kind of running shot his way across the field until he does get to Green Arrow. So you got to be careful.
And like Tom said, the Black Panther is in the same league as, say, the one-man army Goblin King. Because, okay, cool, that was nice. You done? All right, I'm going to obliterate you now.
Unimind still there as well.
Yeah, Unimind is...
I mean, Proxima Spear, it can be kind of scary with Hawkeye, even against a Unimind, but anyway.
Yeah. All right. So with that said, I want to thank our sponsors over at MajesticCCG.com/marriedwithclicks /Apex-Insiders. Oh, I'm so bad. MajesticCCG.com. Check out the Apex Insiders at /Apex-Insiders. $3 a month gets you access to some of the greatest brains in the game of HeroClix. And if you check just a free site, MajesticCCG.com, so this whole site is your one-stop thing for all things. It's one-stop place for all things HeroClix. You get some articles from crazy people who are trying to make some kind of all-common format. You get weird articles from some guy with a curly hair who talks about figures that everybody isn't using and they really should be using. And for $3 a month, you get access to great minds, championship minds, and how they think about the game and how they kind of approach things, and you get their thought process. So for $3 a month, if you're trying to become a competitive player, it's a small price to pay to improve your mindset. We also have another new sponsor, who leads us into our outro, as it were. And this ad is brought to you by Edward Sheldon HeroClix Coaching Services. State and provincial tournaments are just around the corner. Do you need that extra edge your local playgroup can't offer? Edward offers a wide array of services helping you refine your playstyle, tactical coaching, and even practice games. His fees start as low as $15 an hour, and some of the proceeds will go to help support the show here. Contact him at startingoverpodcast@gmail.com with the promo code in capital letters, married with clicks, to get started today. We put the link down below in the description, I believe, at this point. Edward, he's the Starting Over podcast. Listen to him talk. It's great stuff to listen to, and this is a great tool to use if you don't have access to a group of players to practice with, because we all know practice is an important thing because it will make your team better. Have a good night, everybody.